Happy Wednesday, everybody, and good morning. I'm bringing you the Beacon Light on sort of an unusual week here at Market Square. It's unusual because last Sunday we had our celebration of Kim's time with us and sent her on her way, and this week she is still with us, but she's preparing for the next step in her journey. And we haven't yet been joined by Reverend Bruce Humphrey, who will serve as our bridge pastor starting on June 1st. So this sort of in-between space got me thinking about threshold time. Threshold time, if you picture a literal doorway, is the time that you are on the threshold. Maybe when you're crossing from one room into another room, or when you're in your home, stepping out into the world. And it's an in-between space where there's a lot that is uncertain. I recently got to attend a retreat led by a wonderful, wonderful speaker who you may know, named Reverend Cheryl Galen, who did a lot of work about threshold times when she served as our interim executive presbyter for the Presbytery of Carlisle. Threshold times can be times where people get really anxious and fearful because a lot is uncertain. We don't exactly know what our destination is, and we don't know how long it will take to get there. But one thing that became really clear in this retreat is that our lives are full of threshold times. We have times in our personal lives, like moving from being a working person to being retired. Right now I'm pregnant, and that's a pretty big threshold time, a very noticeable threshold time. And then there are threshold times we experience as a culture and a society. Right now, I think there's a big open-ended threshold time as we explore new technologies like AI and aren't quite sure what the implications of those new technologies are. And as a nation, we are in an election year. So that is also another pretty significant threshold. Now, Market Square has probably been in a threshold time since the pandemic, then all the changes that the pandemic brought. And then after the departure of Reverend Kelly Wyatt and Reverend Tom Sweet, that was an even bigger threshold time. So we've been so fortunate to have Pastor Kim with us as our interim to do that intentional work of tending that threshold time and helping the faith community to have tools to guide us through at least this next stage of threshold time, especially those core values that session prayerfully discerned with Kim's guiding: faith, community, compassion, justice, and service. Those values serve us as guideposts. Even though we don't know quite where our destination will be, we have these guiding values to guide us on our way. So in the next couple months, we will elect a PNC, a pastor nominating committee, and they will get to work seeking a new pastor and head of staff. And it's only natural that while this is happening, we're going to want to speed it up and skip to the end where everything is nice and settled and the uncertainty is gone. But our job during this threshold time is to hold space, to not rush to the end, and instead to listen to the Spirit's leading and to trust in God's time, not insist that it be in our own time, and to pray, especially to pray for the PNC and the spiritual work that they will do. So, with all of that, I would like to leave you with a quote from John O'Donohue's book, To Bless the Space Between Us, which is all about these liminal threshold times in our lives. He writes, "It is wise in your own life to be able to recognize and acknowledge the key thresholds, to take your time, to feel all the varieties of presence that accrue there, to listen inward with complete attention until you hear the inner voice calling you forward. The time has come to cross. On that note, let us also remember that we are taking this next step of the journey together. And I give thanks for all of you and all of the work you have done this far and all that this community is becoming. Blessings this week, everybody.